I burst through the front door of my childhood home, chest heaving from running 3 blocks. The real estate agent standing in our living room turns, startled by my sudden entrance. My mother sits on the leather couch, perfectly composed, signing papers with her elegant fountain pen. Dad stands behind her, arms crossed, wearing that satisfied smile I've learned to hate. "Congratulations," the agent says cheerfully, gathering documents into a leather folder. "The sale went through perfectly." My mother looks up, and for just a second, I see something cold flash in her eyes before she arranges her face into a pleasant mask. "Talia, darling, we finally sold that old house. Such a burden lifted." My stomach drops like I've stepped off a cliff. "You sold Grandma's house?" My voice comes out strangled. "That's mine. Grandma left it to me." Dad shrugs, adjusting his expensive watch. "Correction, it was yours. You're 26 and drowning in student loans. You're too young to manage a property anyway." My brother Kyle appears from the kitchen, grinning like he's won the lottery. "You should thank us, actually. I'm using part of the money for my tech startup. Family investment, you know." My hands shake as I stare at the signed papers on the coffee table. The deed Grandma personally handed me 2 years ago flashes through my memory, her wrinkled hands pressing it into mine, her eyes serious. Something isn't right here, something they don't know about yet. I whisper, looking directly at my mother's triumphant face, "You just made the biggest mistake of your lives." "My name is Talia Evans, and I need you to understand who I am before this story makes sense. I'm 26, a freelance graphic designer barely making rent in a cramped studio apartment across town. I design logos for small businesses, create social media graphics, and take whatever projects I can find. It's not glamorous, but it's honest work. My grandmother, Alara Morrison, was the only person in my family who ever truly saw me. While my parents chased country club memberships and my brother pursued Ivy League credentials, Grandma taught me to paint in her sunlit kitchen. She showed me her garden, explaining how patience creates beauty. She listened when I talked about my dreams. When Grandma passed away 18 months ago, her will shocked everyone at the lawyer's reading. The house, her beautiful 2-story Victorian with the wraparound porch and the garden she'd tended for 40 years, went solely to me, not to my parents, not split among family members, just me. I remember my mother's face that day, how her polite smile never quite reached her eyes. Dad's jaw had tightened almost imperceptibly. Kyle had laughed awkwardly, making some joke about me being the favorite grandkid. But underneath the congratulations and the hugs, I felt something dark and hungry stirring. That should have been my first warning. The week after Grandma's funeral, my mother became someone I didn't recognize, or maybe someone I'd never really known. She showed up at my apartment with groceries and cooked my favorite meal, chicken parmesan with homemade marinara sauce. She hadn't cooked for me since I was 12. "Sweetheart," she said, setting a steaming plate in front of me, "your father and I have been talking. Managing a property is incredibly complex, taxes, maintenance, insurance. We want to help you." Dad arrived later with a folder full of documents, speaking in that patient tone he used with difficult clients at his law firm. "We'll handle everything. You just need to sign these authorization forms so we can take care of the property details while you focus on your career." I was grieving, exhausted, and honestly overwhelmed by the thought of managing a whole house. The paperwork looked official and thorough. My parents seemed genuinely concerned about helping me. Kyle even offered to coordinate with contractors for any needed repairs. So I signed. I gave them copies of everything, the deed, the will, the property insurance papers. I handed over my leverage without even realizing I was doing it. That was my mistake, the one that almost cost me everything Grandma had built for me. 3 weeks later, I drove to Grandma's house to start sorting through her belongings. The gate was open, which was strange. I always kept it locked. 2 men in business suits stood in the driveway, one taking photos of the exterior while the other made notes on a tablet. I parked and approached them, confused. "Can I help you?" The older man smiled professionally. "Just doing a property assessment, standard procedure." "Assessment for what?" My heart started beating faster. He checked his tablet. For the owners, are you the realtor? I'm the owner, I said firmly, and nobody authorized any assessment. The men exchanged glances. The younger one made a phone call, speaking quietly. After a brief conversation, they apologized for the confusion, packed up quickly, and left. But something about the encounter felt wrong, rehearsed almost. That evening, I confronted my parents over the phone. Why were strangers assessing Grandma's house? My mother's voice was smooth as silk. Just a routine property evaluation, darling, for insurance purposes. You did want